Hi, this is Love from Tits and Giggles podcast. I love using Anchor because it's easy to operate and I can just pick up the phone and speak my mind whenever I want. I love the podcast availability because I can get it out to multiple platforms at the same time without having to go. It automatically generates your RSS feed and you get it out to your listeners. And I love the background music and all the sound effects. Loving Anchor so much. You should try it for yours. This is Love again with Tits and Giggles podcast. What's up, Tits and Giggles? Here to give you another mindless conversation to take our mind off of what is going on in this crazy world we live in. Today I want to talk about and ask, is marriage over? I'm married. My husband's pretty cool, so I'll keep him. But in general, is marriage over? I see a lot of people aren't married or jumping to get married. I mean, we see marriages. It must almost be like, will marriage last? Because you can get married, but do people even know what it takes to be married? And look at this article from U.S. News, and it says U.S. marriage rate hits a historic low. It says too early to know the impact of coronavirus pandemic will have, but data shows significant shifts in the country's marriage rate. I do know a lot of people did split up during the pandemic. They couldn't handle being together. It's kind of crazy, before pandemic and all that stuff. I know a lot of people get married, and believe me, I'm a divorcee as well, so I have been married and divorced, but I do know initially when I first got married, I was doing it because it was the right thing. I was pregnant with my son and I felt like I should do this the right way. And mind you, I was only 19. I had no clue at all what it was to be married. I thought that I knew I didn't want my parents' marriage, but I knew I was modeling it after TV and after what I thought marriage should be. I didn't realize how much work it actually is. And so I would definitely say that then I was not at all ready to get married. I wasn't even ready to be married to myself. I think that is so I couldn't imagine. I know back before pandemic and everything, like I was saying, a lot of people got married because they were pregnant, myself included, had a family, try to do the right thing. Then when you don't have the kids in common and all those things, you kind of are with each other and then you have nothing in common or nothing to talk about. I've literally been out with couples and they literally have nothing to talk about. And I'm like, wow, how do you guys survive? And don't get me wrong, people survive literally being a human, you can survive just going through the matrix, as we call it. But if you actually want to feel and be happy and be real, being stuck in something that is not real is not going to bring you fulfillment. So anyway, back to this article. So the U.S. marriage rate reached a historic low in 2018, according to federal data spanning more than a century. Social and economic shifts in the U.S. are visible through the lens of the country's marriage rate, measured as the number of marriages per thousand people. The rate fluctuated since the early 1900s, most notably around the times of the Great Historical Significance. So, for example, the marriage rate reached 12 per 12,000 and 1,000 in 1929 before falling down to 7.9 in 1932. Then it reached an all-time high after World War II. And then 1982, it fell. And then it's just kind of hovered at 6.8. 2018, 6.5. and it's been the lowest recorded rate since 1867. Here's the thing, they say women's independence and gender equality is a huge factor. Interesting. I think we will always be on this shift between women and men as far as independence, gender roles, and all that. I mean, we live in we have the great debate always between traditional roles and, all that. I think if you don't know if that's what you want to do when you get married, you need to find out. And things change. I mean, marriage is ever changing. So, you could come in the marriage, meaning your spouse, husband, could be the breadwinner. Something could happen to him. You could start working. Then you need to make sure he's comfortable enough to, let you take care of him and not resent you. There are so many factors that go into being married. The biggest one is just being secure in who you are, because life throws things at you. So there could be times when the wife is the provider. The wife is a strong one. These men, they have these kind of things I'm the man, listen to me. What if something happens to you and your wife is having to take over? And I have seen it to where these women are still submissive to these frail men because of gender roles. If you have an old school mother or aunt, you will see her still catering to her old husband at home while she's all young and going around, but she's like, I gotta get home and take care of my husband. And I get it. It gives some people joy, I guess, to take care of people. But we're talking about today's society and today's people as to why marriage is not, So what they're saying is women's independence has delayed marriage. Interesting. Let's blame it on the women. Then they're also saying that, let's go down here, because I saw this one, which I also thought funny, that men are not getting married because women are giving up sex faster or easier, so they don't have to get married, which I'm like, why is this all on the shoulders of women? Every time I get it, women, we have powers of our vagina, but it's why is it all the woman's fault? Everything is the woman's fault. I guess if they strap us down, force us to have babies, and we will want to be married, yeah, that won't work. It's 2022. There's too much access to so many things. But the moral of the story is that marriage is on a decline. That is fact. I wouldn't blame women. I wouldn't blame, I left up with my husband and the fact that no, our marriage is not at all perfect, but we have pretty good communication, and we talk about all kind of things. We're absolutely not the same person at all, but then the same in a lot of ways. So, my views are different on things, his is as well, but we have a respect for each other where we can understand and listen to each other's views, and he can hear me if I'm needing to speak with him or get something through to him. He can hear me, and vice versa. Yeah, he's a typical man where he's not a big communicator, but I can normally pull out of him whatever issue he could be having. But that is just my marriage. I do know that a lot of people jump into marriages or get married and they absolutely have no clue what they're in for. Even if you come into a marriage with kids or stuff it's just so many things. So I think people today are just forget it. And before we lived in a world where marriage was glorified, and now, especially since we follow the example of celebrities, we see 72-day marriages, all these short marriages or whatever. I mean, marriage, who's getting married, who's staying married? Really nobody. So unless you really are in touch with who you are, like I said, and that you are sick of, you could be even just sick of dating. But the thing about that, even if you get married to settle because you're tired of being out there, you will still not be happy. This is just fact. You could be like, I'm tired of dating. I got somebody I like. I'm going to make it work. Never going to happen. Because you haven't, you have to marry somebody that you want to spend life with. And this is my opinion, of course, but you do. Then you have to marry someone that you respect. Because if not, you are going to cheat. You are going to stray. You are going to get bored because you settled. And when you settle, nothing comes of that. Nothing good comes of that. I know, like me, I'm a dreamer. I'm a free spirit. Obviously, I have a regular life. I have a regular job. I have regular responsibilities. But I have goals. I have things I want to do. I discuss these things with my husband. Most of the time, they're crazy. He looks at me like I'm crazy. But he knows that, I'm a dreamer and a goal-oriented and driven person. So I don't know. I think that that's what's hard today now, because we also have no, what are our goals? What are we achieving? What is it that we want to achieve together? Everything is so weird and screwed up. It's like a big bowl of googly gosh, as people like to say. My mom is people. But I don't know. I do know marriage is on a decline. That is a fact. I do know that there is the struggle between roles, what women should do, what men should be doing. I personally feel like me and my husband, I'll say we're 70-30 on the fact that, as far as bills, stuff like that, we're 50-50. But when it comes to I'm cleaning the house and taking care of home, and he's very much doing man stuff, yard work, stuff like that, just because he's good at that. I could not go work on a car. I could probably figure it out, but but I do see some women, but I also am the kind of woman that will pull in the trash dumpster when the trash comes. But I will literally see women that are stay-at-home wives, and they literally will leave the dumpster outside until their husband comes home. And I just think, lady, you're not doing nothing all day. But I'm not gonna knock her. So, like I said, there's a lot of young, and these people are younger too, but some people are very conservative, very I'm sticking to the old days and old ways. And I think those are the people that are still getting married. But I also think those are the people that are still getting divorces because they are pretending, I just don't even know. But, I do understand why marriage is on the decline. I think that people don't value marriage anymore. I think people don't realize how hard marriage is. It's very hard because it's hard being your own individual, let alone having to care. We live in such a self-centered, self-absorbed world that when you get married, you actually have to care what your other half is feeling or thinking. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people cannot be bothered. So I get it. I get all sides. Like I said, I lucked up. But when I met my husband, I was not at all planning on being married. I was planning on just, going through life, floating through life. But life is definitely easier when you have someone that has your back. And if you can find that, that is a blessing. And luckily, I have found that. And I wish for those that are looking for that they would find that as well. But do not settle if you don't get a good guard dog or something, something like that. But don't settle just because society, or just because, you're being pressured because you're getting older. I know a lot of people that get pressured because of their age. And it's just like, my mom got remarried and she was almost 60 and she's still young and virile and happy. So, I think, and like, you don't have to worry because you're only as young as you feel and old as you feel. So don't rush. Like, enjoy your life. You might get older and be like, I don't even like this person. A lot of older people, they think they need to be married, and then they'll be like, I don't even want to be with this person. So don't let society pressure you into things. Yes, marriage is on a decline. I think because we have no clue what traditional marriage is anymore. A lot of people doing things that marriage is a different thing. Some people don't believe in the institution of marriage anymore. Like I said, if I wouldn't have found my husband, I would still be doing me. Like, I would not settle just because I'm older, a little bit wiser. But I know that life is very short and I don't want to it's hard enough to be stuck in a job or something that, and everybody, we're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with all these things right now. We're already stuck in things that we would like to get out of. So don't let a marriage be one, because if it is, I promise you that's going to be the first thing you want to get out of, because you're thinking like, is your marriage holding you down? But it's everything else that you've settled, and the marriage is easy to cut. Divorce ain't fun, but you can get rid of this person and still be unfulfilled. So that's why I say, make sure that when you marry, if you marry someone that you want to spend life with. But also know, how do you want to spend the rest of your life? Because the person you are in your 20s and 30s is definitely not going to be the same person in your 40s and 50s. So unless you're just a person that never changes, and there are a lot of people that do that as well. But if you are an evolving, goal-oriented person in this crazy world, you should have dreams and goals, because we have to stay sane. But get somebody that is on the same wavelength of you, and make sure they are. Don't just go off of pictures or this or that. Get to know a person. Find a book, read a book, go to counseling. I do think, like, if you're not good at communication, you should get counseling together, a good counselor, because you could find a counselor that just tells you everything you want to hear. But find somebody that challenges you, challenges both of you guys. See how you guys respond. Like, I just got done watching this season of Married at First Sight, and a lot of these people, their egos were all out of control. If you get married and you have a big ego, good luck. It ain't gonna work. You can't, like, marriage, you do become one in the aspect of, like, and when I think of one, it's just because you do have one goal. Obviously you're two separate people, but if your marriage is to make it and last, you have to have one goal and, like, one whatever, your mantra for your marriage. What is it? How do you see it? And a lot of people are so self-absorbed, have their own egos, that they can't even, So yeah, it's a lot to date. It's a lot to be married. I can see why people aren't doing it. If you are thinking about doing it, remember all the things I said. And just really understand that marriage is for life if you want to be successful. If not, I'm telling you, divorce is also not any fun. So, yeah. But yeah, that was my talk on marriage being on the decline, why I think it's on a decline, why you should make sure that it's really what you want to do, and make sure that person is your best friend. What do you guys think? Let me know. Is marriage done? Why are people not getting married anymore? Let me know. This has been Love from Tits and Giggles, signing off, you guys. Stay blessed and safe out there.